This is the YUKA 1500. It took lawn care off my to-do list without lowering the bar for how my yard looks. I would call this a wire-free robot lawn mower for homeowners who want a consistently trimmed yard with very little hands-on time. It fits best if the space is small to medium, has a mix of open grass and a few tricky spots, and you are willing to spend a little time up front with a phone application to teach it where to go and what to avoid. The design looks like someone crossed a sleek sports car with a garden tool. The body sits low, the shell feels solid, and the wheels are chunky in a good way. That matters when the lawn is damp or when there are gentle ruts along a creek edge. It weighs about 34 pounds, which means I can lift or nudge it without strain if it does catch on a soft patch. The cutting deck spans roughly 32 centimeters, which is wide enough to keep the passes efficient, but narrow enough to snake through tighter turns around trees and play sets. The height adjustment is a physical knob on top. I actually prefer a setting in the application, but the upside is that once I set the height, I never have to think about it. Cleaning is easy. Grass does not cling much to the shell, and a quick rinse gets the wheels and underside clear without feeling like I am spraying water into delicate parts. Setup gave me that mix of curiosity and nerves that I always get with new lawn tech. The YUKA 1500 uses real-time kinematic positioning, which is like global positioning system with centimeter-level accuracy. There is a base unit that needs a clear view of the sky. I spent a little time walking around the yard to find a good spot that did not sit under branches or close to the house roofline. Once I placed it, the mapping started to make sense. I drew the mowing zones, set no-go areas to protect flower beds and a mulched swing area, and created a path along the creek that I wanted it to respect. The phone application is mostly straightforward. It can feel a touch laggy when I am dragging boundaries or switching tabs, especially the first day, but it is predictable after a couple of sessions. The mower docked, charged, and then rolled out to learn the yard with what looked like a confident pace. It is not rushy. It feels deliberate. Day to day, the thing that actually changes my routine is that I do not think about mowing anymore. The mower handles navigation with the real-time kinematic base and a set of cameras that provide three-dimensional vision. In practice, that means it knows where it is to a very fine degree, and it can see objects, from a soccer ball to a stack of twigs by the fence. I dropped a foam bat one afternoon and watched it slow, steer around and continue the pass. It misses less than I expected. When there is heavy shade, the real-time kinematic signal can stumble, especially under a large oak on my property. The mower has paused in that zone a couple of times, reversed, and taken a new line. I adjusted the map to create a slightly wider corridor there, and that has cut down on those hesitations. Cut quality is what I pay attention to more than anything. I keep the height between about 1 1/2 inches and 2 inches through most of the summer. On even ground, the cut looks uniform, and the checkerboard pattern I set in the application actually helps hide any subtle unevenness from soft spots after watering. On really thick patches, usually where Bermuda has overlapped with some stubborn crabgrass, I might see a stray blade that stands taller. It is rare, and the next scheduled pass or a quick spot pass cleans it up. I have pushed it on slopes that I would normally avoid with a heavy mower. The YUKA 1500 claims it can handle up to around 45%, and I believe it. The tires bite, and the low body keeps its center of gravity planted. If the soil is saturated, it can get stuck in a shallow dip near the creek. I solved that by dropping a couple of visible bricks to outline the danger zone, and by redrawing the boundary to curve a little wider. After a few runs, it learns the better line and glides through. Noise is what makes overnight mowing possible for me. It sits at about 60 decibels, which in my yard sounds like a calm hum in the background. I have had it start at 3 in the morning, roll through the front, and I have not had a single complaint from inside the house or from neighbors. That small detail is bigger than it sounds. I can schedule runs around weather or my own day instead of trying to find a quiet window. I did not expect to use the sweeping feature as often as I do. The mower can collect small clippings, light twigs, and even damp leaves while it cuts, and then dump them at a spot I choose. After a summer thunderstorm, that is a lifesaver. I send it out for a cleanup pass. It corrals the debris, and I keep mulch beds tidy without walking the yard with a rake. It is not a replacement for a dedicated yard vacuum, but it makes that last 5% of cleanup effortless. A specific use case that sold me happened during a heat wave. I was trying to control crabgrass without stressing the Bermuda. I set a schedule for shorter, more frequent trims and switched the mowing pattern to a checkerboard to minimize track marks. The mower maintained height consistently, and because I was not spending hours behind a gas mower, I could focus on spot treating weeds and watering correctly. Within a couple of weeks, the yard looked better than any summer I can remember. I would sit on the porch and watch it make clean passes while I had a cold drink, and I felt a lot less pressure about weekend chores. Reliability is always the make or break point with robots. The YUKA 1500 has built trust the longer I have used it. It leaves the dock when scheduled, returns reliably to charge, and picks up where it left off if the battery dips during a larger job. The only misses I have seen are those shade-related moments under that oak, or when the ground is still mushy and it hesitates at an edge. Both were solved by tweaks to the map and a bit of trial and error. I would call the learning curve mild. If someone has never used a robot mower, expect a few evenings of small adjustments during the first week. After that, I barely touch the settings. There are quirks I would like to see improved. The phone application could be more snappy and could do a better job explaining real-time kinematic placement for folks who are not used to thinking about sky visibility and signal paths. The manual height knob is sturdy, but I wish I could fine-tune it from the application for seasonal changes. The object avoidance is strong, yet very low toys or soft piles of grass can still confuse any vision system, so I keep the yard tidy before a run. None of these feel like deal breakers. They are the trade-offs that come with getting most of my Saturday back. What makes this mower feel smart is how it handles the yard like a planned route rather than a wandering robot. With real-time kinematic guidance, it draws clean lines without a perimeter wire. With three-dimensional vision, it recognizes obstacles and makes human-like decisions to slow down or steer around. With the application, I can drop no-go zones, carve out a protected ring around a vegetable bed, and set unique patterns for different parts of the property. When I want to, I can send it out at night, keep noise down, and wake up to a lawn that looks freshly done. When rain comes through, I can run a debris pass and keep the mess in one corner for easy pickup. If someone is sitting on a fence about robot mowing, here is where I land. The YUKA 1500 is a strong fit for small and medium yards, for people who want quiet mowing, customizable zones, and a wire-free setup. It rewards a little patience in the beginning with a season of almost effortless upkeep. If a yard has dense tree cover, expect to do some trial and error with base placement and mapping to keep the real-time kinematic system happy. If a yard is extremely uneven or frequently saturated, there may be occasional rescues and a bit of manual cleanup. For most lawns like mine, the daily experience feels simple. I set schedules, it handles the work, and I spend my time on everything I used to skip because I was always behind on mowing. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the YUKA 1500. Thank you for watching.